What a launch!
This is the all-new Zero DSR X. It's an electric adventure bike. When you consider the adventure market is the largest and fastest growing sector, it's no wonder that Zero has dabbled in a dual sport number. But can an electric adventure bike really deliver? We went to Sicily to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Etna. Welcome to Mount Etna. And we've just mounted Etna, and Etna didn't know what hit her. So this is strange, isn't it? No noise, no clutch, no lever on the left hand side. Whoa, hey! There's definitely enough go. 225 newton meters of torque is the headline figure you want to read. You know, 70 kilowatts of power is, you know, it's not irrelevant when it comes to electric bikes, but certainly the torque is the headline figure you want to know about. This thing goes. Sure, you know, it's like a big fat trailer in the fact that all the power's in the mid-range. When it right at the top, it tails off. You know, right at the top of the rev, there isn't that shove you get as with a normal bike, but whee, shitting hell. And the GoPro, the first hour of riding failed, the audio failed, so I've now got to try and remember exactly what I said in that first bit. Oh, the panoramas. The unveiling last night, I love the look of it. I absolutely love the utilitarian, purposeful aesthetics, I really do. There's definitely an element of Harley Pan American, which I'm sure they won't like me saying, but it feels good. It feels really, I'm surprised. This bike has not shocked me. Shocked is the wrong phrase. It surprised me. It really is. I mean, this thing can hustle, let me tell you. The ground clearance isn't the best thing. I've already decked the pegs. I'm not going to have many toes left by the end of the day, but this thing hustles. Sturdy, I think, is the word. The weight, you know, 250 kilos, quarter of a ton of metal, isn't the most confident inspiring to look at when on paper, but the weight's in the right place. It doesn't feel heavy. It's only when you really start to push it, and I'm talking, you know, Kevin Schwantz, see God and then brake type thing, where the weight becomes an issue and you're trying to stop it in a hurry, real hurry. But
Etna behind me is the highest active volcano in Europe, and we're on the north side now, and this was destroyed back in 2002. I'm just going to move out the way for a car that's going to run me over. And it was an earthquake that measured 7.2 on the scale, on the Richter scale. And the bike you see behind me also measures 7.2 on the Richter, with that explosive power in your right hand.
I've got to say, you know, we've got road tyres on, and although the surface isn't too challenging, it really is, again, exceeding expectations on this stuff. And the thing I love about it, we're just doing some pieces there into some passes with the video, and you don't, you know, the slow speed stuff is really where it excels. It's like a trials bike, you know, you don't need that the clutch or any other bits to get in the way. And we've got off-road ABS, off-road TC. It's really nice and thin between the legs. You can grip the tank. I'm eating dust here. You know, I'm pretty much guarantee none of these bikes will be going off-road. But if you're coming up to Etna, you're riding up and you want to take a bit of an off-road route, a bit more exciting, then it's good to know it can do it. But like I said, I was just dicking about then with the slow speed stuff, and you know, you can literally stop and not have to worry about stalling, and it slows right, you know, literally 0 miles an hour. It's that's where the trials bike thing came from. Bloody hell, I can't see anything. This is fucking decent. I mean, I can definitely say that when it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong in a big way. Oh, I mean, there's definitely too much traction control. You know, more experienced riders are going to, oh bloody hell. Right boys, hey, ciao. Oh, that smell, that noise, and it's not coming from this zero. More experienced riders won't like the fact that the TC intrudes way too much, even in off-road. But you know, like I said, I'm not entirely sure how much off-road these are going to do. But at the same time, you know, it's not just, we've just got to think about, well, it's not just the UK, is it? It's you know, a lot of these countries have roads like this where you can ride on and you don't get in trouble and you don't get shouted at. And this I love, really like this. Key out, key in, flap open. There's enough in there, enough room in there to put your packed lunch and your condoms and whatever else. Lovely touch. And in that presentation last night, there was some mighty claims being thrown about. The first being this was a transformational riding experience, which you know, we'll get to in a minute. The second was this is the most capable zero motorcycle to date, and so far you cannot argue with that. But transformational riding experience, yeah, it's not a bike that takes hours or miles and miles and miles, or days, or even, you know, minutes really to get used to. It's a bike that fills you with confidence straight away. Really nice to turn, really progressive and neutral, lovely balance to it. Not a lot of weight transfer, which is good because considering the weight. But when it, you know, when it's in a corner, when you're throwing it around, there's a nice kind of level fulcrum to it. There's no nasty surprises, except when your feet deck out. Honestly, this is as good as any adventure bike that I've ridden in terms of handling, without doubt. This can do anything the others can do, just as well. But it does it with real kind of stability, and you know, I think planted is a good word. Of course, when you've got a quarter of a ton, mechanical grip is definitely a plus point, and you can tell that. We've done what, 60 kilometers so far, probably 40 miles, and we're down to 68%. So yeah, I mean, there's no doubt you could not use this bike as a conventional tourer. There's no way. And, you know, maybe in other countries the kind of infrastructure is better than England or the UK, but you know, Bruce Smart recently did 4 corners of the UK. I think it took him about 3 weeks to do. You know, by the time he farted around charging bikes, it was you know, it just became a pointless exercise, or took the fun out of it anyway. But just, it feels, it's like it is on rails, this thing. I hate using that phrase. It is on rails. Once it's in the corner, it just stays there. It feels so good. You know, likewise the road holding. I know this surface is really nice, but we did some proper shitty roads earlier on. Oh wow. And this is no groundbreaking suspension, you know, it's run-of-the-mill, quite old, if I'm being honest, Showa suspension. But they're not sparrow-limbed like a lot of other electric bikes. This is, like all the components on this bike, the suspension is good, and it does a wonderful job of masking the bumps. It really does. Genuinely, that was one of the things that impressed me most, was just, you know, hiding a quarter of a ton of metal and gliding over some fairly big potholes. Likewise the brakes, you know, they're just run-of-the-mill, very budget brakes, but they do a really good job. Let's address the elephant in the room, the price. I mean, 24 grand, really, for an adventure bike like this. I'm sorry, but that's pretty bloody good, considering it's a couple more grand more than a fully loaded GS, and similar price to the Multistrada V4. It's not bad. You know, the gap between those nasty internal combustion engines and electric bikes is being bridged without a doubt. But yeah, and you know, the brakes and the suspension and other well, I suppose not, that's it really, just the brakes and suspension. You know, it's not an excuse, but that's why they've used it, used these components just to stop the price creeping up again. And really, fair play, you don't need any more than this, trust me. I mean, what they haven't skipped on is the electronic side of things. I'll run through the a bit more detail later on, but there's lots of nice features. What there isn't, however, is kind of some sort of brake when you're on a hill, which is a bit of an issue. And I asked them why, and they said, well, it's just more complicated, more budget. So, well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you can stick it in a gear and like you can with those bloody nasty internal combustion engines. Well, I said all the components on it are really nice. The finish is exquisite. You know, it's a big leap. Certainly in the early years of Zero and early electric bikes, but you know, the switchgear is a bit budget. It's a bit sort of, you know, mid noughties or Aprilia. Go back to that confidence thing. It is, you know, it's super easy to ride. You haven't got to fuss about clutch or gears or anything like that. And I know some people want to fuss about that, but the point is, it is a piece of piss to ride. The throttle in any mode, you know, we've got obviously all these modes and all these throttle maps, but in any mode it's a doddle to ride. And obviously electric motors, they are nicer to map. You've got far fewer variables to consider when you're mapping a bike, and the throttle is bang on. They've counted in some ham-fisted skullduggery when doing it, because it is super smooth. Another feature I love is this screen. I mean, these knobbles, these bigger knobs on the side, I mean, like the what do you call it, the things, the spikes, the little things, oh fucking hell, I don't know what they're called, but anyway, they may look a bit big and a bit over the top, but that adds to its kind of utilitarian vibe, and I love that. Really nice and easy to use. Dash is very nice, quite simple. It just gives you all the information you need. Obviously, you've got a little 12-volt charger there as well, fairly handy. And although we haven't been, you know, busting some horrendous mileage today, we have been in the saddle a hell of a lot, pretty much the whole time, apart from messing around with a coffee stop. We've been in the saddle, getting photos done, and it's comfy. I've got to say, it's a bit. One of the massive benefits of having electric is just how narrow the motor is and the battery pack, and it is very thin, which, you know, I think a lot of people are put off by big adventure bikes. Having something so big and throbbing in between your legs can often you know, put off a lot of people, deter potential customers. But this is very thin, very confidence inspiring off-road, certainly. And the same for the seat height. It is, I can't remember exactly, it's about 820-ish I think, but it is, for an adventure bike, again, it's super low. And there's no other reason for that other than the fact they can get away with it, because of engines and fuel tanks and various other things when it comes to petrol engines. So the other elephant in the room is the fact that it's an electric bike, and you know, most of you guys watching this, certainly 44 Teeth regulars, will go, "Fucking hell, there's an electric bike, I don't want to avoid that." But this is an objective review of the new Zero DSR-X, and you know, would I buy one? To be honest with you, up until this point, I've never even considered buying an electric road bike. I don't see the point. And still, again, you know, really, unless I was commuting in and out of work every day and I knew the mileage, and you could probably do, you know, 2 or 3 rides a week back and forth to one charge, then it's a good idea. It's a perfect commute. It does everything. It's like a big supermoto. It's a big comfy supermoto with no noise. it's a big, comfy, silent supermoto. There it is, with some touring capability. And that's no exaggeration. This thing hustles. But yeah, going back to the point, would I buy one? This is the first bike that I genuinely would think about buying one. I wouldn't buy one because I don't have £24,000. Another thing the Zero guys mentioned in the press conference last night was the fact that this is not a direct quote, but they were talking about the need for using all 5 senses when riding the bike to make it a kind of an emotional ride. And you know, yeah, there's obviously something lacking with the smell and the noise. The noise is obviously the biggest thing. Smell, you can, you can Castrol R, 2 strokes, smelly old overheating bikes you can kind of get away with, kind of do without. But the noise, yeah, it's a massive part. But that's just the world we live in, and that is the way things are going. And before you know it, we probably won't have internal combustion engines. That's a much bigger debate. You know, I don't think that we'll see the end of internal combustion engines. I think there'll be better fuels, better ways to, you know, save the environment and save the planet, etc. But not sure where I was going with that, as I'm not sure where we're going here. But yes, the noise thing, whether you like it or not, electric bikes will become bigger and more formidable in the market. And I've got to say, this is really bloody good. It's really good, but it's not a petrol bike, and that's the problem. Ultimately, it can be as good as you want, and really, apart from a few things I'll get to later, really there's nothing to moan about this DRSX, nothing at all. But the bottom line is, as good as it is, it's not a petrol bike. It doesn't make the right noises, it doesn't make the right smells. Could do with picking up the pace here, Nige. It's effortless. This is effortless, absolutely effortless. And this is the thing that surprised me. This is the thing that surprised me about it. It doesn't feel like quarter of a ton, even more so than its kind of petrol equivalents. You know, the Adventure. I don't want to call them rivals because, you know, well, I suppose it is a genuine rival now. But yeah, the petrol equivalents. This bike maintains just a perfect balance all the way through the turn, and the steering is so neutral yet fast enough. Gonad the Barbarian. Still weird not grabbing anything here. Still, after a full day in the saddle, it's just, go on, grab it, go on, have a go on that, go on. Don't want to spend too much harping on about its off-road prowess because, well, I just, you know, it's a road bike, but, well, a dual sport, an adventure bike. But a lot of these guys riding with us aren't necessarily that capable off-road, but what they're saying is they couldn't have done the stuff they were doing on a petrol bike because just how easy this is to ride. They haven't got to worry about stalling it, they haven't got to worry about changing gear and being in the right gear, and it's literally opening the throttle and concentrating on the drive, rear wheel drive. So that is another massive plus point. On that, ladies and gents, sorry for the GoPro issue. I'll try and wrap things up as we head back into the hotel. Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about is this reverse gear. Obviously it's a big old girl, so you have to turn it off, hold the menu down, parking mode, good guys, many thanks. Parking mode, and it lets you reverse. Oh yeah, reversing without moving. It's limited on power. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Really nice touch, that. And of course it's really easy because there's no gears. Well, there are gears obviously, but it's not petrol, so very nice. And so off on again to yeah, back to normal. Then back to normal. That's normal. Oh, good. See, a lot that you need to, but in reality when you get used to it. Yeah. Now, as good as this bike is, and it is really good, I could sit here and wax lyrical about this bike all day long, and you need to get on
your bum on this seat and ride it and try it for yourself, because as good as I think it is, and as good as I say it is, and as good as everyone says it is, the biggest issue, as I said on the helmet cam footage on the vlog, is that it's not a petrol bike, it's an electric bike, and the range is still a bit of an issue. And I know that they claim anything up to 320 kilometers with off-road and sort of steady riding, but really when you're hamming it on the motorway or giving it large on some A roads, then it is going to be severely reduced to anything around about, well, you're looking at around about 100 miles for motorway stuff. So as an adventure bike, yes, it is severely flawed, although the technology is only going to get better and better. So it's a really tricky one. You also have the issue of the fast charging. Now, from 0 to 100, 0 to 100% is an hour. Now that's pretty good. So if you can get access to fast charging, or you can get a bigger battery and have more range through that. Obviously, it takes longer to charge, but you can't have both of them. So you can't have the fast charger and the bigger battery. You can have one or the other. So as far as I'm aware. But as I said, dynamically... Oh, sorry. I thought you were waving at me. Dynamically, this bike is almost impossible to fault. I mean, a lot of the guys were saying that the engine braking, they'd like engine braking and more engine braking in different places. But, with the modes available and the different sort of setup options, I'm sure there's something for you in there. And I think one of Zero's biggest issue is getting bums on seats and getting people converted. That's the phrase you need to be. You need to be converted into an electric bike rider. And it's a shame, really, because, this bike delivers. Without doubt, it delivers. You haven't got the noise, you haven't got the smell, but every other sense is attacked. So the best thing I can suggest is riding one. Get down to your dealer, have a go on one, and I guarantee you will have fun and you will enjoy it. And if you don't, well, you can have your money back. Oh yeah, this is free, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching.